Welcome to Season's blog. The Yield Blindspot. Why we don't pay yield in Cs. Ask someone what yield they're earning and they'll give you a number. 12%, 40%, 200%. Ask them what they're getting it in and you'll get a shrug and silence. It's one of DeFi's biggest blind spots. The yield conversation entirely orbits around how much, while nobody really stops to ask and what. And that one missing question is the difference between building wealth and running in circles. The loop. Here's how most yield protocols work. You stake or lend token X, and your reward is more token X. The asset you already have, meaning the input and the output, are dependent on the same market dynamics. And this whole scaffolding, albeit a vicious cycle, stands on short-term price action and caves in on itself the moment markets turn south. Think of it like a company paying its employees in its own stock, and nothing else. If the company does well, great. If it doesn't, your salary and your savings collapse at the same time. That's correlated risk, disguised as compensation. But it gets worse. Unlike dividends on equity, most DeFi yield tokens aren't distributed from revenue. They're minted. Every reward dilutes the supply. Every claim adds sell pressure. The yield itself actively weakens the asset it's denominated in. Instead of net positive long-term value, you merely get more exposure to the same bet, funded by inflation or speculative Ponzi-nomics, or both. What changes when you break the loop? We designed Seasons to distribute yield in liquid alternative assets. Not Cs, not any other single token, but a diversified mix across 3 tiers. Established blue chips, 60%, growing underdogs, 30%, and promising rising stars, 10%. The system doesn't mint more Cs and hand them back to you, effectively making what you already hold less valuable with every distribution round. Classic supply-demand economics. It captures real value from transaction fees, swaps them into liquid assets, and drops them directly into your wallet. Your Cs stays intact. Your yield arrives as something else entirely. Assets you didn't hold before, from ecosystems beyond seasons. This means 2 things that matter. First, your yield has independent value. It doesn't depend on Cs performing well to be worth something. A distribution of $bonk or $WIF or any inclusion list asset has its own demand, its own liquidity, its own market. No matter how Cs does tomorrow, and even if it doesn't exist, the yield you've earned remains. Second, your portfolio diversifies automatically. Every distribution round adds assets you didn't have before. You can use them however you like to build new positions elsewhere, or to compound your yield by stacking more Cs. And all this happens without you hopping across 30 platforms, researching 200 tokens, or timing 20 trades. The mechanism does it for you, round after round. Global finance already knows and runs on this principle. While they have their own limitations and extractive ploys, established financial institutions have long recognized the merits of instrument yield decoupling. You buy a bond and get paid in cash, not more bonds. As a real estate owner, you earn rent in, say, dollars, and not in square footage. The return and the vehicle generating it are separated on purpose because bundling them together creates fragility. It's unsustainable. DeFi abandoned this principle in the pursuit of reflexivity. And while reflexivity is intoxicating on the way up, it's a death spiral on the way down. When your asset, your yield, and your confidence all move in the same direction at the same time, there's no floor. Seasons reestablishes the separation. Cs, the asset you hold, generates yield from real economic activity. And the diversified liquid assets, the yield you earn, stand on their own. One's value doesn't depend on another's, and, for that matter, doesn't necessarily move in tandem either. When we say yield has been distributed, we mean real assets arrived in your wallet, not an IOU priced in the same thing you already own. What's more, this isn't just theory, and we already have receipts to show for it. Since launch, we have distributed over $84,000 in total yield to 278 nodes across 22 rounds, all in diversified liquid assets, none in Cs, no claiming, no unstaking, No hoping the payout token holds its value long enough to sell. Just assets in wallets with their own independent trajectories. Because bull or bear, what you receive must be worth something regardless. That's the design, the season's commitment.